There's a lot of talk about living unapologetically nowadays, and I'm a fan of it. To be honest with you, I believe wholeheartedly in living absolutely unapologetically you. However, I do also recognize that just like most things that become mainstream, there's not a complete understanding about these things. It's kind of like self-love. When that first started getting trendy, it's like self-love this, self-love that, and people thinking like taking a bubble bath by yourself is self-love, not understanding the depth of what self-love is actually about. So I don't want unapologetic or living unapologetically to become just another buzzword, but instead something we incorporate into our lives. That being said, let's get into it. So first and foremost, what unapologetic does not mean, because some will hear this word and think to themselves, I live a life where I never apologize for nothing. And I was one of those. I believe that living unapologetically meant you don't apologize to nobody for nothing. And that right there that's toxic. Okay. I'll be straight up. That's a destructive mentality to have. I didn't apologize to a whole lot of people who I used to think I don't have to apologize to. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to go to the person in order to make amends or make things right. But if you have the opportunity to make things right with somebody, go talk to them. Like I talked to an ex, even though I had no intentions of ever getting back in the relationship, no intentions of any of that, I still reached out and said something, right? Because I knew I was in the wrong in a lot of cases, or in one case, even if it's just one thing that popped up and I was like, damn, I probably hurt that individual. You know what I mean? The person I was with in high school, almost 5, 6 years later, I was like, damn, I probably hurt her heart for real. You understand? And I didn't know any better then, but now I do. And so if I could make, amends, then why would I not? So unapologetic living is not about you don't apologize. If you truly feel a sense of remorse, then you apologize. That's what that's about. However, living from a state of guilt, like living your life in a perpetual feeling of feeling bad for doing you, making decisions that are best for you, that is living apologetically, right? There are people who literally move about life. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I remember one time I was at a grocery store and there was this, it was quite a wide lane. It was a wide lane. And I was on one side of the lane and she was on the other side of the lane and she had a cart and she was pushing her cart and she was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, sorry for what? And she's like, oh, I almost hit you. And I looked at this girl and said, you about 2.5 miles west. You weren't close to hitting me. I didn't say all that, but I was like, no, you're fine. Like, you weren't even close. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like she basically like had the thought in her head that she would have hit me if she was apologizing for some stuff that never even happened, wasn't even close to happening, but she thought in her head, what if this did happen? And that's the way that many of us live, though that may be, dramatic in a sense, or maybe extreme. We do this in our everyday life. We're apologetic about the very lives that we desire. Oh, I feel so guilty for wanting to have money in my bank. I feel so guilty for wanting to be a millionaire. Oh my goodness, what would that mean about me? Does that mean I'm a terrible person? Does it mean I'm selfish? How are people going to perceive me? That's living an apologetic life. Doing things and feeling as if should be remorseful or sorry about the things that are actually nothing more than an expression of your own life. I used to think to myself, is it selfish for me to leave corporate and pick up something like this full time? Oh my goodness. But what about all the hardworking people out there? Not even considering myself, right? And by the way, all of that talk that we give, like that sweet talk that sounds so good on paper, most of it is BS. We're just using it as a means to virtue signal, to make ourselves look like we're somebody. You know what I mean? Who cares? It's like I saw this message on Thread. I don't even know what Thread is really about, to be honest with you. But I created one because I just click one button on my Instagram and it's done. And I like to post content, so I did it. And today I saw a message and it was a guy and he was like, he put up all like 10 billionaires, how much money they had in 2009, how much money they have now. And he said, like tax the rich, blah, 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 tax the rich. And I was like, okay, like this message is perpetuated, it's real trendy to say this type of thing. But then I was thinking to myself, after I went on his account and realized, oh, he's a human rights lawyer, right? So he benefits off of these type of messages. I thought to myself, I wonder if he would be saying this if he was one of those people on that list. Like if he ended up on that list, would he be saying the exact same thing? Right. And also I was thinking to myself, is he going out of his way to actually create wealth so he can help the people who he believes are impoverished, who he believes are needing of this money? Is he going out of his way to do something? Is he going out of his way to be a solution to the problem? Now, I'm not picking on Buddy, but what I'm saying is too often we will live a life in direct opposition to what we truly desire, because we feel apologetic. We feel a guilt about wanting what we want. So then we reverse it and we pretend we don't want it. And then when we see it in somebody else, it triggers our insecurities. And then we say that person does not deserve to have it. Take it away from them. And if you know me, you know I'm going to talk that talk. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't play those games. I'm not the one. You can come at me with anything. Oh, what about the system? What about institutional? I understand. I get it. I came from a perceived third world country. Okay. I came from a place where there was 80% unemployment. If they have 7% unemployment in America, people they're terrified. They're jumping off buildings, right? So I grew up in an environment where I saw true deep poverty, and I had an inkling, but not a full understanding of what was the cause. But once I became an adult, I could see that there was a certain mentality of the people. There was a certain state of consciousness. However, in that very same environment, I also saw people who made something of themselves. And I'm not talking about just like, start up a little something. I'm talking about people who became, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, created corporations, paying hundreds of thousands of school fees for kids, are building schools and things of that nature. Like just people who really are doing things in those very same environments, in those very same places. And I said to myself, well, they came from the same neighborhoods. And we would say, well, they had it better, right? Life was easier for them or whatever. Yeah, we like to make these excuses because we project them back onto ourselves so we can use them as our excuses. But that's a story for another time. But I really started to observe this and I said to myself, okay, so if this is possible for an individual in that environment, then surely it's possible for somebody like, let's say in this environment, like I live in the United States right now, right? In the US of A. But this country out of any other country I can think about, at least one that I've resided in, there is opportunity and we can do things with ourselves. Now, when we allow ourselves to go off of the programming or the conditioning that has been saturated within our consciousness over a lifetime, then of course we will continue to get the very same results. You can be in any environment and have a poverty consciousness or a scarcity or lack consciousness, and that's exactly what's going to come from that. And again, I'm not speaking from a pulpit, I'm not speaking from a soapbox, I'm talking directly to you, as a messenger, but also as a practitioner. I was the one in that mentality. I was the one who was giving into that mindset. I was the one who was talking about tax the rich as my strategy of making some money, as opposed to, what if I develop my own psychology? What if I change the way in which I think, I feel, and therefore the way I show up in the world? What if I change the way that I live? How about, oh no, I can't do that. No, it's easier just to point the blame. It's easier to point the finger. And so we live these lives where we are persistently, consistently apologetic. And again, just like people pleasing, apologetic living is not this authentic, right from the heart, remorseful. It's not that. It's a selfishness. Okay. We live a life in which other people will perceive us in a certain way. That's what that's about. We live apologetically because we don't want to be perceived by other people as a bad person. We don't want to be perceived by other people as being evil or whatever it is, right? Greedy, etc. We want to be seen as likable. We want to be seen as acceptable. We want people to welcome us in and think we're this amazing person, right? Oh man, he's just the greatest. He's the best. I used to love that. I used to love getting a gold star on my head and a pat on the back and a little applause when I walked. Oh, what an altruistic, what an incredible humanitarian. Oh, he cares so much. Wow. Meanwhile, I was suffering within. Meanwhile, I was going through it. I was resentful. Wow, every time he shows up, he cleans the dishes and he does this and he does that. Oh, he's just, oh my God, he's the first person to show up, last person to leave. He'll do anything. He'll take the shirt off his back. Meanwhile, I'm mad. I'm like, damn, this is the fourth shirt I didn't give away. Like, where's my appreciation at? This is really it's from a selfish place. And we love to project, these emotions onto other people. So our own selfishness will call somebody else selfish for taking care of themselves. God forbid they choose themselves in that moment. And again, this is a byproduct of our belief systems. We have come to believe that, it is wrong. There is something faulty. There's something bad about making a decision that puts us into consideration. Imagine that. You will consider everybody and their mama, everybody and their grandmama. You will consider this one, that one, and this one. You'll buy that one this, and this one that, and that one this, and this one that. But when it comes to you, chicken scratch. When it comes to you, crickets. When it comes to you, absolute silence. You forget about yourself in the process, believing that somebody else is going to pick up the slack for you, when in truth, it's not their job. when in truth it's never been anybody else's job. As I say, I've said this in a past video, maybe in a few ones, nobody owes you anything, but you owe you everything. You don't owe anybody anything, but you owe you everything. Unless you got them babies in the crib or, them kiddos in the house that haven't reached that stage of maturity yet. Those are the only ones you owe something to because you did bring them into this world, right? I'm going to be straight up about that one. That's where I stand and will forever stand, right? Take care of them kids as them kids are yours, period. However, if it's not that case, I don't care if it's your daddy, your mama, your auntie, sister, because I don't care who it is. You are not responsible for that individual. They're responsible for themselves. They owe themselves everything. And you deserve all the greatest good in life, but you're not entitled to it. I actually did an entire video just on that. It was a rant. I was going in. I had to because I was done with this mentality that I see within our people, continuously and perpetually feeling as if we're entitled to what is somebody else's as opposed to going to get what's ours. Do we understand that what is ours is never going to miss us? What is ours is forever ours? So anyway, let me get back to the point at hand. Living an unapologetic life. What that looks like is living your life without apologizing for it, is living your life authentically without feeling any sort of remorse for that. And again, I'm not saying you're trampling and stomping on people. Most of us don't live that type of way. You're not going out of your way to do anything or any harm towards anybody else. Of course, that should be a given. That should be straightforward. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, doing me guilt-free, as my first published book says, if you think that that means going out and, stomping on people and taking what's other people's, you got it twisted. You've got it all backwards. Doing you guilt-free means living your own most authentic life, period. Living from a place of true personal power. Every single matter of fact, let me plug this joint. First published book, Doing Me Guilt-Free. Boom, boom. That's what I'm referring to if anybody's wondering, right? You can get yourself a copy by clicking the link in the description. It's the ultimate guide for breaking free from that external need of validation, that ridiculousness that we continue to feed into for an entire lifetime, and then we wonder where our lives went. Where did my life go? Oh man, my life could have really been something. Yeah, your life can be, and it still is supposed to be something, but you got to let go of that need to be liked. I have to remind myself of this more and more every single day. T, you ain't got to be liked. Like, my ex's pops used to say, like, he would tell himself on the way to work, he would say, they're not your friends. Like, they're not your friends. When you go out, on the job or whatever it was, they're not your friends. They're not your friends. They're your clients. They're not your friends. They're your customers. You know what I mean? And I thought that was hilarious because I reflected on that. I was like, damn, like I cared so much about being seen as this good guy or liked by clients, whether it was in the marketing space, which I first came from, and then, consultations, etc. I just hope they like me. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to slice the price so they like me. What? There's a brother named Myron Golden. He is like one of the top sales guys. He's on YouTube, has incredible content, right? I agree with all this stuff when it has to do with mindset, etc. Not necessarily the religious aspects. Be straight up about that. But he was talking about, he said, choose a price that makes you smile. He said it doesn't have to make them smile. They just got to get the result. And I thought that was brilliant. I'm like, oh, that's because with me, see, look, you're going to get the result. If you apply, you're going to get the result. If you do, you're going to get the result. I know I got that fire. I know I got that truth. You know what I mean? I got that work. And usually for the low, honestly, if you're thinking about it right now, it's on the low right now, but the prices are going up. Inflation is real in these streets. You understand me? And so I thought to myself, man, choose a price that makes you smile. I've never thought from that perspective. I always thought to myself, what's going to make them smile? Because I want to see what's going to make them like me. What's going to make them see me in a certain way? How am I going to position myself where I'm a superhero in their eyes? Wow. He's so sweet. He's so kind. His prices blow my mind. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are here as valuable players in this life, every single one of us, and we put the price tag on ourselves. Don't be mad at Walmart for what they're paying. Don't be mad at Starbucks for what they're paying. Don't be mad at Amazon for what they're paying. Oh, you can be mad all you want, but you're going to stay exactly where you are. You put a different price on yourself. Put a different price tag on yourself. Boom. Put it on the middle of your forehead if you got to do it. Do something. You understand me? But to live apologetically, you are never going to get the life that you desire. To live for other people's approval, you're never going to get the results that you desire. To live as a people pleaser, as opposed to a place of personal... Look, I'm about to plug that joker again. Doing me guilt-free. There it is right there. Do this here. Do you guilt free. Buy the book so you can thumb through it. You understand me? Look at that. All that space in there. All that space for you to think your way through. You're going to read a line and think to yourself. Read a line, think to yourself. You feel me? Live your life. Broken chains. Live your life liberated. Live your life in freedom. Live your life apart from the need to be validated by anybody else, period. I will say this once. I will say it twice. I will say it for the rest of my God-given natural born life. Let go of the people pleasing. Free yourself from the need of other people's approval, period. And everything you want in life is on the other side. I thought to myself, what if people don't like me? Then how am I going to gain a following? People don't give a damn if they like me. Again, some folk are going to love you regardless of what you are because they're themselves, right? But some people can hate you and they still going to tune into the truth because it's the truth. You know how many people probably hated Harriet Tubman because she was not one to mess around. She was not one to play around. She was not going to kiki with you, as my brother said. She wasn't going to hee ha ha with you. She said, look, we about to go to freedom. Okay, I got the route. And if you messing about, you ain't serious about this, get the hell off of my Underground Railroad. Get the hell off my railroad. It wasn't a physical railroad, of course, but don't play with me. Don't play with us. She was straight up, but she had the goods. She had freedom, is what she had. And when you have authenticity and truth, you have something that is priceless. You have something that the world needs and desires, that the world values more than anything else because it's so damn fake. People are so used to the phony and the fake. They're so used to people putting on a facade and putting on the mask. Like I did change my shirt. I'm not gonna lie, I did change my shirt for this video, but because it's more comfortable, to be honest with you. The other one was hot. It was a long sleeve joint, whatever. So I thought this was a little more comfortable, right? But show up as you are. Sometimes I show up just in a tank top. Most times, just in a damn black tank top. Probably costs all of $3 or something like that. I don't care. I'm gonna show up. Sometimes I roll right out of bed, right in meditation, right into a video. Still got the crusty crust in the eyes, whatever. But I'm gonna show up as I am because I'm not here for your approval. I'm not gonna apologize about it. Oh, I'm sorry, but oh man, the sound quality. Look, if you don't like the sound quality, that's too bad. You understand me? You don't have to watch. You don't have to listen. And that's the mentality that I'm carrying. And when I started carrying that, ironically enough, more and more people start showing up. Because when you put out that energy of truth, people can't help but translate it. People can't help but relate to it. It can't help but stick. You might not like the delivery mechanism. You might not like the medium, but you sure as hell gonna love the message. Howard Stern. If y'all don't know who he is, he's what would I say? Shock jock, original shock jock back in the 80s, 90s. He's even here in the 2000s still doing his thing. That man is worth almost $1 billion being on the radio. Radio actually does make a lot of money if you're doing radio for real. But he was on the radio and all he was doing was like madness, right? He was a shock jock. Everything was to be controversial, etc. He didn't give a damn, or at least we perceive that he didn't give a damn, right? He comes out and says, sometimes he wanted to be liked more or whatever. But nevertheless, during that period of time, he did not care about being liked. And so he created a massive following of haters. Millions of haters. And those millions of haters turned him into an almost billionaire. Think about that. So when you let go of that need to be liked and you care only about making an impact in this world and making an impact within your own life, and that's going to make an impact in the world, then you'll reap the benefits of such. When you no longer live apologetically, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be. I know it's selfish of me. I shouldn't. No. That's gone. We're out of here with that. We're over that. We're done. We're doing us guilt free. We're doing us guilt free. I used to say shameless plug. I used to say guilt free plug. No, ain't no shame, ain't no guilt around it. This is a life changing, transformative piece of work, and it will change your life the moment that you get yourself a copy. Whether you get it or not, it's still gonna be life changing. Whether you watch the video or not, it's still going to be life-changing. Whether you listen to the music or not, it's still going to be life-changing. And you got to have that same mentality for yourself in your own life. And if they call you cocky, they call you arrogant, they call you whatever, they can call you anything. But one thing they can't call you is fake. One thing they can't call you is broke. Okay, maybe right now, but all down the line, they can't call you that. They can't call you that no more because you are living guilt free.